Hello and welcome to Front Row Racing's FRR-idays. It's the FRR-idays Cup and it's Bahrain this evening. Now, for anyone that's interested, the FRR-idays Cup is the place for new drivers to come and race to show us what they can do, to be put onto the reserves list for the main two leagues that we have, Front Row Racing World Championship, which is a no assist league, and the Front Row Racing World Series, which is an assists allowed league. The World Championship is ran on Wednesdays, the World Series is ran on Thursdays. But we also do allow our current league drivers to drive in the Fridays if there is room available, which this evening there is. Now, one of the reasons we do this as well is because it gives drivers the opportunity to come and drive, come and race however they race, and we can let them know if they need to adjust their driving slightly for the leagues, basically. I know some leagues don't worry too much about how people drive, others do, we do. So it is important to try and make sure that if you're in on the Fridays, you are racing clean, especially if you want to get into the main leagues. Now, the drivers don't know it this week, but a couple of them are racing for permanent positions. They don't know it, but there we go. Okay, so qualifying then, on board with Stocky here, potentially fairly quick driver, but from the races I've seen him do so far in the Fridays, does tend to lock the tyres up quite a bit. So around the Bahrain International Circuit, we could be seeing a similar driving style from him here, with a lot of tyre lock-ups, but we're only on a 25% race for the Fridays, so tyre wear might not be too much of a problem. But in a 50% race, then there is much more potential of getting punctures, because your tyres get worn, you're locking up a lot. The more you lock up, the more they wear. The more you lock up, chances of punctures. Now, for anyone that is viewing the live stream at the moment, I do apologise, I'm not going to be able to respond to any messages because I haven't got any of my sidekicks with me this evening. Usually Front Row Racing NW, otherwise known as, I'm actually going to alter his name a bit. We did give him the nickname of Edam Hill last week, but I've decided we're going to make him a little bit more Jamaican, because his name's Adam, right? And I'm thinking Adam and Damon Hill. Adam on Hill. So, he's not here this week because his PlayStation's, for some reason, won't connect to PlayStation Network, which is a little bit disappointing for him. So anyway, the Bahrain International Circuit. First Grand Prix here in 2004, and a couple of years later they went to the extended version, which was absolutely horrible, went off left just after the turn 4 there, and then came back around about here. But the extended bit was horrible. Much better racetrack on this shorter version. The circuit is now 5.4 kilometres in length, and lap times at the moment from these guys, I reckon we should be seeing potentially mid 131s, depending on how much practice they have done. Now, one thing I will say is next week we're going to do something slightly different on Friday next week. It's still essentially going to be a FRR-idays Cup event for drivers to come and race, show that they can drive clean and fair, to be able to be put on a reserves list. But because the leagues have been delayed by a week, the World Series and World Championship races at Bahrain aren't until next week. So next Friday we'll do something a little bit different. The concept will still be the same. The drivers have got to drive clean and fair to get put on the reserves list, but we'll do a race somewhere else, or we'll do something a little bit different, just so that we can get back into line with the leagues. So Stocky here then, current lap time, not too great actually, and he's off track a little bit. But let's go and see who else we've got on track. Killer Corkin was racing in the World Series last season and was doing very, very well. It was just late getting a PlayStation 4 for this season, but I think we'll be seeing him in the World Series fairly soon. He's gone a little bit wide on the exit of turn 2 though, Currently sat in second place. Now, a couple of the drivers that are in tonight, a couple of World Series drivers, a couple of World Championship drivers, and it's because they want to get that extra little bit of practice around Bahrain, which I don't blame them. If I wasn't doing the commentary here, I'd probably be doing exactly the same thing. But I'm going to leave my practice until some point over the weekend, I think. So Killer Corkin then into this horrible left-hander and a lot of locking up, and he's gone wide. He had to get off the brakes, which has meant he's gone wide. Now, the brakes on this game is something that I do know a few people are struggling with. I know some wheel users that have really struggled, and some pad users that have. But I have tried reminding people that the brakes on the cars this year are slightly different. These brake-by-wire systems, and with the energy harvesting, it does make the brakes rather different. And I've had people ask, why can't you adjust your brakes like you could on F1 2014? And it is because the braking systems are different. The car automatically transfers balance further forwards, further backwards, when you're harvesting and stuff like that. Even though you can, while on track, move your brake balance forwards and backwards, you don't get to pick your brake sizes or anything like that, because they're pretty much set for every track. And let's not forget that the engine does quite a bit of braking for you. All the energy recovery systems and all that kind of stuff, it's all very different. But one of the reasons why people are struggling on the brakes is because of the brake-by-wire system. And a lot of people are finding that locking up like James is here, and you do kind of have to find that rhythm of how to get the best out of the braking. Now, I could give my tips away as to how I do it, but then where's the point of giving out any advantages I may have? Now, I do know it is bugging Kev187 though, because he does say to me, so how in the race am I stronger in the braking zones than he is? And it is simply down to driving style. But anyway, okay, so Jamie James here, he should be looking at getting a fairly decent lap time here. He will have seen what Kev and myself got to, but I do know that when we were due to do the World Championship race earlier this week, in the practice before the race that me and Kev were doing, he was getting a lot quicker. My own practice was disrupted somewhat from doing a few admin duties last minute, so I didn't really get, in the qualify session I didn't even get to go out of the pits until there's only 10 minutes left because I was busy, but there we go. So with James and a few other World Championship drivers having seen what lap times have been done, they're going to be really trying and pushing to get up to those sort of lap times. The difficulty is, this is a track where sometimes the harder you push, the slower you can go, which doesn't really make much sense. But this corner here, for example, it's a corner where the harder you push into it, definitely the slower you'll go. You can go into there all locked up and just about make the apex still, but it's going to hurt your tyres. It may do you alright on lap time, but it ain't going to help your tyres. But there we go. Okay, so let's see what his sector 2 time is. It's a 40.0. It's not too bad. He'll be wanting to shave a few more tenths off it though. Sector 3 here isn't the most difficult. It's all about carrying speed through the apexes of the corners, braking very late into the final corner, because he's braked late, he's braked hard. That means his apex speed isn't going to be that high. I think we're going to be a 23.2 sector 3, 23.2 sector 3. But that's put him in second place. Okay, we're on board with Jason now. Had a very interesting race on last night in the World Series. It was the World Series China race last night, and boy did it rain. It didn't rain really heavy, but it rained enough to make it a really tricky race for quite a few of the drivers. So for Jason here, this is going to be about just getting a few laps in around Bahrain, seeing what some of the other drivers are doing. Sector 1 is going to want to improve on a bit. Sector 2 needs to improve quite a bit. But he's braking nice and early for the final corner. Just braked a little bit too hard, but he didn't lock it up, and that can make a massive difference. Now, I do know that a few people have struggled, like people that struggled on last year's game haven't struggled as much on this, or those that didn't struggle on last season's have struggled a bit more on this. And the games can vary quite a bit as to who they suit. Now for Jason here, I've got a feeling he may be on automatic gears. I mean, the assists are allowed in the Fridays because we have drivers in that use assists, and this is a place for people to just come and race, to have the opportunity to be reserves, or for the league drivers to come and have a race when the spaces are available. So for Jason, it'll be interesting for him to see how people in the leagues around him or in a higher league are doing. He's improved on his sector 1 time. Is he going to improve on his sector 2? He was on a 43 earlier, so he'll want to get that down at least into the 40s. Always struggling in the left-hander there. That can be quite a pain in the backside corner if you do get it a little bit wrong. A lot like this corner. It can be a very deceptive corner. When you get it right, it always feels like you can take it a lot faster. But when you go to take it a lot faster, it tends to bite you in the backside. Now he just needs to take a little bit more apex speed, a little bit more confidence in what the car can do through the corners, and he'll gain quite a big chunk of time. Sounds like he's run out of juice now though. Okay, Stocky back on board. J Tomo. What has he done to his gearbox? Well, I don't know if he's trying a new driving technique. I know I did hear recently that he has gone over onto using a manual gears. So I don't know whether he's tried a new tactic of revving the testicles off this Williams. It's definitely revving out a lot. That doesn't quite seem right. His sector 1 time's not too bad though, so it could just be an audio issue we've got going on here. Now Stringy that joined there and left is a friend of Elliot Fisher's that had asked to take part last week, so I did send him an invite. He's only just joined and decided to leave again. So Tomo's middle sector 40.6, it's not too bad. What's his final sector going to be like from the rather odd sounding Williams? It's 23.4 again. That's not too bad really. So if we can put up with the audio, we'll follow him for another lap. It looks like someone may have just come out of the pits ahead of him. Oh, he's gone a bit wide there. Got to be careful of getting too wide on that curb. It does have the potential of spinning you out, but it is interesting to see just how late some of the guys are trying to brake. Now if they've got assists on ABS and such, they will potentially be able to brake a little bit later without locking up, but if you do have assists off, it's a lot more difficult to brake later. It's not always the fastest way. I mean, I've always sort of gone on the theory of you can brake earlier and gentler and carry more speed through a corner than braking later and harder and going slower through the corner. But anyway, different people driving styles are going to give different lap times. Okay, so Dave the Harp then, I know he's been getting a bit of practice in now that he's got his wheel back from Thrustmasters. They obviously have got a sense of humour because they still sent him his wheel back, even though he sent it back to them in a Logitech box. But he's got his wheel back, so he'll be happy to be on that compared to using a pad, because he did not like doing that at all. Oh, big double lock up on the front end though, and because he had to get off the brakes, that sent him wide. And currently put himself in 6th place, but he's lost a bit of time in that final sector. Could do with knocking about a second off it. Oh, big lock up into turn 1. Still makes the apex and wiggly on the exit. Let's see how he gets on heading up to turn 4. Use all of the road, get over to the left. He's going to brake early or late. He's braking late, and there's another lock up. Exit's not too bad, but the locking up is going to cost him time. Not too bad through the fast left right, a fantastic pair of corners. And then into the tricky little hairpin that is so easy to lose the rear end on the exit. Now we've seen pretty much everybody else lock it up here, and Dave's done the same, and he had to lock it up more to try and make the apex. Is he going to improve on his sector 2 time? Well, I can't say I remember what it was previously. Oh, he's gone down, so almost sounded like he'd gone down into second then, but perhaps a little slow on apex of corner there. Go on, get it in towards that curb. Can you get it into the apex? He can. Can he carry the speed? It's a 40.4 middle sector. Not too bad, but ideally needs to knock half a second off that. And it's another big lock up into the final corner. That there, I think, is either not enough aerodynamics or just too hard, too long on the brakes. But 23.4 final sector, so he's improved his time a little bit. Okay, who else have we got? Jason's now revving the nuts off his Ferrari. Okay, James still sat in second place. I think let's have a quick look at the old not race director, but the timing screen. So stock is on a 131.8. It's not too bad that. If you wanted to be up there with the fastest world championship drivers' times at the moment, it's probably going to need to knock about a second off that lap time. James will be wanting to knock at least a second off his as well. But for a few of these drivers, this is essentially like an additional practice session. Okay, so what can Killer Corkin do as he completes an out lap and about to cross the start finish line? Obviously the sector times there from his previous best, I think. Oh, another one locking up big time into turn 1. Oh, taken way too much curb into 2. And the thing is, when you do lock up as well, you are putting a lot of temperature through your tyres, which means you will potentially struggle for the next corner or two for steering, for traction, and for wiggly moments like Jeff has just had here. He's going to go wide. He's had to lift off the throttle to make sure he didn't, but another bit of a lock up. He's got a Ferrari ahead of him, which shouldn't affect him too much. Get ready for the next big lock-up. Braking very, very late, and now he's gone wide. See, now some of the drivers, they are going to have to realise that the best way they can take that corner is to brake earlier and brake gentler. I mean, I'm not here to be a guide for them, but it is quite interesting. Braking late or braking hard doesn't work. But anyway, I mean, I know it's difficult for those that are on controllers because, I mean, they're using buttons. Now, Killer may get a decent bit of slipstream here from Jason, I think it is, that's ahead. Oh, that's the end of the qualifying session. The drivers will get to finish the laps that they are on, and then that'll be it. I didn't really look at the time there. But yeah, so automatically retired me from the session. So, who are we on board with? Dave the Harp. Currently sat in 6th place. Is he going to be able to improve his lap time at all? Big lock up again into the final corner. He's taking more speed through it now, but still, those lock-ups, it is going to hurt those tyres. I mean, luckily we are on a 25% race, so like I say, tyre wear is not going to be an issue, but in the 50%ers it will play a big part. Okay, Connor, we never actually rode on board with Connor, and he's on the prime tyres here. And I tell you what, Connor had a brilliant race in the World Series last night, although on looking back at the footage I managed to see a crash that he had that I didn't even know that he'd had. So I wondered why he'd done an additional pit stop, and it turned out it's because he'd lost half of his front wing. But other than that one particular moment, he had a very good race. I mean, the World Series race last night was a phenomenal one. It really was. Okay, Connor then round the final corner, currently sat in 4th. Can he improve? That'll be a no. Okay, have we got anyone else on track? No, we haven't. Okay, so Stocky will take pole position then with a 1:31.8. Jamie James in second with a 1:32.3. Killer Corkin in third with a 32.5. Konzo in fourth on the prime tyre with a 32.8. So if you take the average of a second faster on the options, could potentially be up there in the 31.8s. J Tomo in fifth on a 33.4, then Dave the Harp on a 33.6, and Jason on a 35.5. But it will be interesting to see whether the likes of, say, Jason and Dave the Harp watch this footage afterwards with the comments that I've made, because a lot of the time that people are losing that they can't work out how they're losing tends to be in the braking zones. If you get the braking zone wrong, you get your apex speed wrong, you lose lap time. And every little wiggle, moment, lockup you have is potentially losing you tenths. I mean, if you have an oversteer moment on the exit of a corner, that's 2 tenths gone straight away. So anyway, let's get ready for the race, shall we? So, the FRR-idays Cup for front row racing at Bahrain, where it's not going to rain, although for the World Championship race that we got going the other night, but we've had to delay till next week. It started off raining in qualifying, which I think would have caught a lot of people out, because it's in the desert. It probably hasn't rained here for hundreds of years, and then we come and race here and it's wet. Okay, so when the lights go green, I'm going to hold on a moment before I retire, just to make sure that my car doesn't go and crash into anybody. But the drivers can now sort out their strategies. Their setups will be locked. I mean, that's one thing that may have caught a couple of the drivers out, actually, if they haven't got a setup. They may have put one on, wanted to adjust it, but not been able to. Okay, so 1 light, 2 lights, 3 lights, 4 lights, 5 lights, and there FRR-idays go. Right, so I'm going to retire now. I did give it a split second. They should be far enough away. And let's see what we can see. It looked for a moment like they were going to try going 6 wide into turn 1, but it's definitely 3 wide. And Jamie James is now facing the wrong way. Oh, no, Williams, J Tomo. I was looking at Jamie James in the background, but in the foreground, J Tomo had spun it. I don't know if there was contact or not, but he's definitely now facing the wrong way. Okay, let's go and ride on board, or not on board, let's go and watch the front. Stocky, followed by Killer Corkin. Now these two did have a brilliant battle. I think it was on last week's Friday's race, up until Killer killed his tyres, to be honest. But again, we see a big lock up there into the left-hand hairpin, and Stocky quite wiggly on the exit, giving Killer Corkin a chance to catch up. So it looks like we've got Lotus followed by Red Bull, followed by Red Bull. Now Killer Corkin will be wanting to apply plenty of pressure, and Stocky's sideways again. Now one thing we've said about the Friday's Cup is that as league admins, we won't get involved in any stewarding or adding penalties to the Friday's Cup races. We'll just let the drivers drive. If they want to get into the main leagues, then they have to drive clean. If they're exceeding track limits, they have to be doing the correct things, so that if they were in a league, they wouldn't get penalties. If they're exceeding track limits a lot, they won't get onto the reserves list. Okay, so the front two are pulling out a little bit of a gap now. Who is it that's in third place? It's Connor, who it's not letting me ride on board with, which is a little frustrating. It's took me back to J Tomo, who's right behind Jason and having a little bit of a battle, but Tomo's gone wide. I'm wondering if Tomo was involved in a collision at the start, or actually just lost it on the curb. I didn't see, but he's going for a move up the inside. Oh, a little bit forceful, but he's managed to make it stick. I don't think Jason would have been too happy about that one, but I mean, the room was there to give it a go, and it can be difficult if you're overtaking up into turn 4 there. It's very easy to get on the dirty part of the track, or you are on the dirty part of the track, but then have a little lock up, run a bit wide. Very easy to have a moment there. Or they've both ran a little bit wide heading into the hairpin. Oh, Jason's wiggling all over the place. He's spinning. He's into the wall. I think his car has hit the wall so hard he's disappeared. No, he's going again. that would have been a bit of a shocking moment for him there, I think. Okay, yeah, it's definitely not letting me ride on board with Connor, which is a bit of a shame. Okay, so we've got Jamie James hunting down Dave the Harp. Now, James should have the speed to catch Dave and get ahead. And to be honest, Connor is not that far ahead of him, but it would be interesting for if Connor was to actually beat these two guys. I mean, obviously they're racing different leagues. These two are in the World Championship, Connor's in the World Series where assists are allowed. So we've got these two that will probably be racing here with no assists on, with an assist user slightly ahead of him. So we can always just call him a #padhack assist user, and that's why he's beating them. Start those arguments another day. Okay, Killer Corkin then still just about in touching distance with Stocky. So ride on board with Stocky for the moment. I'll have a look at some of the old cinematic views, shall we? Now, Killer Corkin, I don't think he's close enough for DRS. And for those drivers that have started on the option tyre in this race, they should easily get it to lap 7, potentially even lap 9 or 10, depending on how they treat their tyres. So they won't really have to go too long on the primes, but that could depend on how badly they've treated them in qualifying and how badly they've treated them at the start of this race. Now I'm having a little bit of a play with the camera views here, because the broadcast one is a very good view, but every now and again it does change camera angle on you when you just want to watch an overtake. So I figured I'd have a play about with the old cameras here. Again, we can hear the locking up and full lock steering into turn 1. Definitely a pad user at the helm here. But lockups does seem to be the feature of F1 2015 at the moment. But the thing is, if you can avoid locking it up, the potential is there to go much faster. Oh, that almost looked like he may have used a little bit too much curb through the fast left right. You have to be careful about doing that. Now, Killer Corkin still within touching distance, could just do with closing the gap up a little bit more to try and get DRS. Because Stock is struggling a bit on either on these tyres or with his setup, saying that Killer Corkin's just had a horrible moment at the exit of the hairpin. But again, we see tyre smoke and running wide. That's one thing you don't really want to be doing, is ending up off track. Oh, it was a little bit too wide there as well. Killer Corkin also a little wide. So the guys are going to have to be careful of how much track they're using, or how much off track they're using. Okay, let's go and see how Dave the Harp and Jamie James are getting on. These two were close a lap or so ago. It looks like Dave the Harp's pulled out a bit on Jamie James, but he's had another big lock up into the final corner, which has sent him out wide. It's going to be the theme of this video today. Lock up. He's locked up. He's locked up. You need a locksmith because he's locked up. Right, J Tomo recovering from his initial spin. Now Jason, I believe, yeah, he would have had to have pitted for a new front wing, gone onto the prime tyre. They should make it to the end of the race. They're just not going to be particularly quick. The prime tyres aren't too bad here, but the options are much faster. And we see Killer Corkin almost looks like he's closing up that gap again. Stock is trying to be a little smooth around the hairpin this time, and he's also looking like he's taking a defensive line. Killer Corkin definitely closing up on him, so I don't know if he's had a bit of a moment somewhere. Quite possible that he has really been pushing the tyres hard. Oh, he's well wide. That's carrying way too much speed. Loads of understeer, is wide again. It's possible that his tyres have pretty much had it, or he is just pushing way too hard. And this is what I'm on about with the broadcast view. It's a brilliant view, way to watch the race, but sometimes it just changes camera on you when you really don't want it to. Okay, Killer Cork, and this should be a DRS overtake down into turn 1. Has he got the straight line speed? He has. It's going to be a move to the outside. Now if he's clever here, he'll go for the switch back on him and then duck up the inside on the left here. There's more speed to be found here, which is why he's all over the back of him. Up the inside towards turn 4. Be careful of the dirty part of the track, which has created a double lock-up. Stocky's going to run wide and Killer's around the outside and should be able to keep this move if he can keep his line into the hairpin, but Stocky's giving him a nudge up the rear end, but doesn't look like he's backed off a bit to let Killer have the position. Problem is though, Stocky's now going to get DRS, so Killer really needs to get this hairpin correct. Nice line on entry. Oh, both wiggling on exit though, and they can see the Ferrari of Jason ahead, with Stocky now with DRS. Killer going defensive. It's a tricky one to defend this particular corner because it puts you on the outside here, but the opportunity is to duck back up the inside now or wait for the DRS down the start finish, which is the better option to go for. Now if you can get the move done nice and early, don't do it here, don't gift him the DRS. Killer should still get it, but he's offline now. He's going to drop back a little further, but Stocky's wiggling on the exit. Are they both going for the pit lane? They are both going for the pit lane. So there's a proper pit lane battle for these two then. This is going to get close as they turn in. There's half a chance here that Stocky may get held up in the pit lane when Killer Corkin's car is strolling down the pit lane, and there we go. That's what I'm on about. They had to hold him for a moment to get a clean release, so Killer Corkin exits the pits in what will be first position. So who have we got up into the lead now then? Connor, he's been promoted up to the lead while these two drivers are on the prime tyres and both sideways out of the pits. With these tyres being cold, they're going to be really tricky. They always are, and that's why Stocky is weaving to try and get some temperature in. I wouldn't actually say it helps that much. Sometimes you're better off just driving and staying on the racing line. Keep them clean, then they will work better. Okay, he's looking for a move around the outside of the hairpin. Not necessarily going to work on entry, but may help him on exit. But again, you don't want to overtake heading into the left-hand hairpin unless it's just after the DRS line, but that is too close to the corner to go for the move. Come on, give me a different camera. Okay, we'll ride on board. Now he's got DRS here. He could go for the move. He's decided not to. It's not a bad choice, that, because you may as well wait until the DRS down the start finish. But these two could fall. Oh, he's giving him a shunt. He's giving him a right good old nudge. Who's driving? It can't be Grosjean. It must be Crash Donardo. Well, you know who I mean. Okay, so he's having a look up the inside. He'd have been better off just lifting off the throttle there and getting a good line out of the final corner, because Killer's just pulled away. Now Stocky's still going to get DRS and still may be able to get the move done, but he could have been further ahead. So going for the move then, should be ahead into turn 1, but again, Killer's got the racing line, could potentially get a faster exit here. No, he's not been able. Oh yes, he is. I said he'd be able to get a faster exit. He may be able to go around the outside at turn 4. Stocky's on the dirty part of the track. Gonna have to slow it down more, which is going to give Killer a chance to be all over the back and pressuring him. Is he going to have a look heading into the hairpin? No, he's not quite close enough. Okay, let's go and see what else we've got. Jamie James currently riding in second place on the prime tyre, so I'm wondering if he actually started on those primes. Connor, it still won't let me ride on board with, which is a little bit frustrating. Dave the Harp has pitted, so it'll be interesting to see whether he comes out ahead of... Sorry, if Jamie James comes out ahead of Dave the Harp. Oh, Tomo's gone wide on the exit of the fast left right. Easy to do, but you don't really want to be going out there. Okay, and we're going to see Jamie James pitting. I think we'll see him in the pits on this lap. And there he goes, so we'll come back to that in a moment. Just want to see how Stocky and Killer Corkin are getting on. Killer's still there within DRS range. Is he going to be able to do anything about it down the start finish? And where is Jamie James going to come out in comparison to these two guys? We can hear him in the pit lane getting going again now. No, that's the Red Bull of Connor, and Jamie James is just behind him. So let's go and have a ride on board with Jamie James. Where's Dave the Harp? Dave the Harp is just coming down the start finish line now, or start finish straight now, so James has jumped him in the pits and is now on the faster tyre. Okay, back to Killer Corkin and Stocky, because these two have been battling since about lap 2. Stocky's gone a bit wide though, getting a bit wiggly. He's going to run wide on exit as well unless he backs off, which he has done. Killer's pushing and ended up following him a little bit. Now this is where if Killer pushes too hard, he'll hurt his tyres, and because he had the lock-up, he had to get off the brakes. Now he's slow on the exit. Drive calm, catch him up. Go on, keep your foot in. He has done. See, when he doesn't lock up too much, he can close the gap. But big lock up here, and then he's got to be patient at the apex. But Stocky's gone wide. Now he's got the slipstream here, but I don't think he's within the second to get the DRS. His big lock up again, and I don't think he's going to have DRS here. He's not close enough. Oh no, he has, by the looks of the lights on the dashboard. But his exit was not strong enough. A big lock up again. Now he's closed up the gap, but his exit speed's going to be compromised, so the gap's going to increase again on the exit of the corner. And we can see in the background there, while these two are battling away a little bit, they probably haven't noticed that Connor is now starting to catch them up, and I'm fairly sure he started the race on the prime tyre, so he's going to be on the options, closing that gap. The only thing is, it won't let me ride on board with Connor at the moment, which is a little bit frustrating, but there we go, sometimes that happens. Okay, Killer's definitely within DRS range now. He just needs to have a good entry into the hairpin. He's just about managed the apex, but well, we saw what he did. Connor's definitely closing that gap now, and the problem for Killer Corkin is if he doesn't start piling the pressure on Stocky and going for an overtake on him rather soon, he's going to be under pressure from Connor behind him. But then Killer may actually be better off letting Stocky go, not Stocky go, letting Connor go when he catches him up, and letting him go and attack Stocky, and then Killer may benefit in the long run. Okay, let's go and see how James is getting on in 4th place. A bit of a gap to the lead in 3 at the moment, but that's what starting on the prime tyres can do to you at times. But obviously Connor's done it, but he has got assists on. Oh, Tomo's ran rather wide there. Do not want to be running wide around Bahrain. The sand is not very nice. Jason's still going on his prime tyre. I think if I was in Jason's situation now, I'd be tempted to just go and stick the options on, see what they're like at the end, take this as a bit of a learning process, and see, basically decide whether the setup you had on was the right one or not. Some track time, see what the options are like at the end, see if you can gain on your lap time. Okay, more of the locking up into the corners. I don't know if it surprises me or not, but I am amazed at how much the drivers are locking up their tyres. I don't know whether they are not aware that it's locking up as much as it is, or whether they know and they just don't know how to work around it. But it is something that they are going to have to be very careful of, because what we've seen in the league races so far is those drivers that have suffered from punctures, it's not like it's just random punctures on different cars. It tends to be on the same sort of drivers, which would hint at it's the drivers doing something which is causing those tyres to puncture. One of those main factors being locking up of the tyres. See, big lockups again. See, that's just going fully on the brakes and seeing what it does. Okay, looks like Connor's got himself up into second place. He has. So this is where it'd be wise for Killer just to follow him. Don't attack him. He's going to catch Stocky up and let him attack Stocky, and then Killer has got a chance to do so as well. Now they are catching up with a blue flag situation. Oh, Connor's had a big wiggle. Now at this moment in time, he actually doesn't need to push too hard on those option tyres. They're faster. He's going to catch and pass Stocky with ease pretty much here. It's not really going to be much of a challenge, although Jason, he's got a challenge on. He's got 3 cars behind him that are all going to be fighting for position, that are all going to be wanting to get past. Now I do think he's going to get out of the way. He's let Stocky through. I can't see if he's let Connor through. Yes, he has, but Jason's going massively sideways. I don't know if there was contact there or not, but Jason has ended up going massively sideways. I don't think he likes that Ferrari. And Ferrari may not like him after this race. I know some drivers have like picked a car to drive previously. I'm not driving that car again. But there we go. Okay, so Connor, is he within DRS range? Yes, believe he is, yes. So he can catch up here. He may even be able to go for a move into turn 1 with a faster tyre. He may have more grip. He'll see that Stocky's locking it up. I mean, you can just see there, it's all 4 locked up into the corner, which, okay, he's still making the apex, but it's going to kill those tyres. And Connor is, okay, he's on the faster tyre, but he is catching with ease, and he doesn't seem to be locking his tyres up anywhere near as much. So through the fast right left, Connor's got just over a lap to get past and take the victory here. Now he's going to get DRS after the left hand hairpin. He looks like he's trying to get Stocky offline, which he's done. He's got him all out of shape through the hairpin. He should potentially be a sitting duck here. Stocky's going defensive. Now Connor here might want to look at doing the switchback. He is. Either that or he's thought, you know what, I'll just let him go for now. He's struggling. I'll get him down the start finish. Which, considering the tyres that Connor is on, that's not a bad idea, because his tyres should be fast enough that through sector 2, or through the rest of sector 1 and 2, he should be able to pull away. He's definitely got the speed over him at the moment. Another big lock up. Okay, this is your time then, Connor. Get that wing open, go for the move into turn 1. You got 1 lap to keep the lead if you can take it. He's definitely going to be going for the move here. Stocky's giving him the racing line. Side by side then, but Connor's going for the switch back on him. He's going to have the speed here. The speed is there every single time when you do the switch back, but Stocky is trying to be aggressively defensive here. It is tricky. I mean, the amount of speed that you can carry doing the switch back there, it can put you in a situation of hitting the car ahead, because you do just carry so much more speed because of the line that you take. So more tyre smoke coming then. Connor's really piling the pressure on. He's going to have to get the DRS move done down this straight coming now. Get the move done. 2 corners to go. Well, 4, but it will be not far side by side. Go on, you've got that done. Don't back out. He was too polite through the braking zone there. Stocky's had a wiggle though. Now Connor's on the dirty part of the track, taking a wider entry to get a better exit, but he's not got the better exit. He's ran wide. He really needs to be a little bit more forceful in that turn one attempted overtake. But again, Stocky's locked it up big time into the final corner. Connor's going to go through. Has he got the speed? It's close. We're going to have to wait until we see the timing screen. Killer Corkin came third, Jamie James fourth, Dave the Harp fifth. I think Jay Tomo's still in sixth, and Jason will be seventh. I was going to see how Tomo's getting on his final lap. Not revving the nuts off the Williams this week, or this in this session. But it does look like he's backed off a little bit now. Oh, maybe not. Maybe not. He had backed off, but he definitely hasn't now. Okay, so let's see how he gets on in the last couple of corners. Not too bad there, not too bad. Now, he may feel he should have done a lot better here, but one thing we say to anyone that wants to take part or get involved in the leagues is you don't have to be fast, you just have to drive clean. That's all you have to do. The opportunities will come as long as you drive clean. Okay, let's have a look at the... It was a Red Bull on the top step, so Connor did manage to steal it at the line then. That's probably why Stocky's left the session as quick as he has done. Probably not very pleased with himself there. But Connor's done very well there to make that little strategy work for him. Start on the prime tyre, finish on the options, take the win right at the line. Cracking little battle there. Okay, now if you are interested in joining the Front Row Racing Leagues, feel free to find Front Row Racing on Facebook. Look at that gap there, 0.046. Well done, Connor. You have just really annoyed Stocky. Really annoyed him. That's quite amusing. But that shows that Connor's got a bit of speed, you know, for Bahrain. The World Series guys are going to have to watch out next Thursday. But yeah, if you are interested in joining the Front Row Racing League, look us up on Facebook. That's where we do all of our business. Send us a message. Send a message to the page requesting to join the league. Basically, you can then come and get involved in the FRR-idays, drive clean. You get to go on the reserves list for the World Championship and the World Series. And then if places become available, the opportunity may be there for you to take one of those places. The World Championship is no assists, none at all, and that's on Wednesdays, and the World Series is assists allowed, and that is on Thursdays. Okay, I've been Front Row Racing DP. This has been FRR-idays. I'm going to say thank you for watching, and we'll see you again next week.